And Mick, he didn't have a great deal to do, Joe Hart, but he pulled off a brilliant save at 1-1, a potentially crucial save to keep Celtic level.
Yeah, that's what he's there for. That's the reason why Celtic went and brought in a keeper of that quality, because he can produce those moments. It takes a special kind of goalkeeper to play for Celtic and indeed Rangers, when you go through periods of games where you have nothing to do, and then you're called on to make big saves out of the blue. I think Fraser Forster was great at it, wasn't he, as well? He would sit twiddling his thumbs for 89 minutes and then pull off a great save. And that's these are guys that earn you points. That's a particularly crucial part of the game, and he's made a really good save, and it's helped contribute towards 3 points. And it might get lost in the wash most weeks, those kind of moments. But I think Joe Hart is probably worth, I don't know, hard to quantify, isn't it, with 10 to 12 points a season for Celtic? Is that fair, I think, Swanee?
Yeah, I think so. I think
that's a lot of points in a title race. And I think we saw it with the season before last, when Celtic didn't really have anyone making those big saves and big moments in games that don't really get caught up in the highlights reel. Do you know what I mean? When it's one each in Dingwall and you go and win 3-1, that's a moment that's forgotten about. But it's a huge moment, and you take it for granted. But it has to be done. It has to be done, and that's why Celtic have got this guy in there. He's top notch. Excuse me. Listen, as all goalkeepers, he's got the odd little moment in him at times, but the checks and balances are more than way up, because he makes these saves that count in the long run.
Mm-hmm. It was a reminder, Swanee, that Hart has just been a brilliant signing for Celtic.
Outstanding, absolutely outstanding. I think you shouldn't underplay the ability, as Michael says, just the sheer quality of the goalkeeping. I do think the presence, the stature of him when he came in last season was very important. He's a big personality who'd done a lot in the game. And I think at that time, when Celtic needed steadying and needed some calming influences, he was a great guy to have around. I think the Celtic fans have bought into him. I think Joe Hart certainly bought into Celtic, which has been a big part of it as well. He seems to really get it and really enjoy it. And he's been asked to play an important role for Ange Postecoglou. And I think Celtic fans have to understand or accept that this season, Celtic will probably lose 2 terrible goals through Joe Hart having to play high up the pitch. That's the way Ange Postecoglou wants to do it. He wants him to play high. He wants him to, get involved almost and playing almost laughably almost in a back three when Celtic have got possession. I'm exaggerating there, but you know what I mean. The high starting line and the way they play it. We saw it all through last season. They take chances, but the amount of goals Celtic will score off it. Mick used the phrase there, checks and balances. Celtic will score 20 to 25 goals this season because of the way they build it through the game. Mm-hmm. The way they take chances, play it out and play through the lines and they get in. And they'll score 25 or 30 goals through doing that this season. So when the 1 or 2 come, which inevitably will, there'll be a day when someone robs the keeper or something happens and it'll be seen as a calamity. Hopefully for Celtic, it'll be when they're 4-0 up one day and not at 1-1 or 0-0 in a game. It will happen, but the positives far outweigh the negatives.
I think you touched on this one. His enthusiasm has brought a lot to that dressing room as well, isn't it? This is a guy, 35, 36 year old, he's been there, done it, won leagues in England, played 75 times for England. I mean, ridiculous that there was actually people last season questioning his signing. I mean, it's actually preposterous, a guy that calibre. But he's come in and he could have been a guy.
It would have been ridiculous enough if he was replacing Fraser Forster. He was replacing Vasilas Barkas. And still people were thinking it wasn't a good idea.
It was crazy stuff. But listen, we've seen guys that come up to Scotland that kind of time in their careers, and they haven't really had that kind of enthusiasm about them. I mean, they've kind of pitched up like tourists. They've kind of thought, oh, you know what, I fancy a wee bit of that atmosphere up there and all that stuff. I'll go up there and I'll do all right. It's only Scotland. And they completely get bombed out. We've seen guys in the last 20, 30 years doing the same thing. Big names that have come up and just completely tanked up here in that environment. Whereas he's come in and he's had this enthusiasm. And like you say, he's really bought into it. And he sets a big standard for those around about him as well in training and on the pitch. And I think he was a huge figure in last year's League One. And you can see he's thrown himself into it. When I was hearing, apparently he was down south, back home, with his family at the weekend. Something I knew down there bumped into him, and his son's running about wearing his Celtic away kit. I mean, he's just absolutely bought into it. And that's the kind of thing that punters, no wonder they love him, because he's been superb for them.